Greetings and salutations, travelers. Welcome back to the Inn of Planar Crossroads, and welcome back to our Broken Universe game. So, first off, announcements. And our disclaimer. Always take less than 5 minutes. Here we go. Disclaimer is that this is an adult podcast that sometimes features adults that sometimes use adult language. You have been warned.
Thanks, Dad, but I have to wonder if the disclaimer wasn't that this will take less than 5 minutes based on the way you said that.
Well, everything takes less than 5 minutes on the announcements and disclaimer. There we go.
And you can time him.
Yeah. Patreon versus Patreon 4, the Inn of Planar Crossroads and Black Dragon Gaming are both going on. As far as the Inn of Planar Crossroads is concerned, we are going to be giving away a rulebook of the winner's choice at $50 a month. And at $100 a month, we'll give away a collector's edition of the Pathfinder Playtest rulebook that is pretty sweet looking. Our next subscriber appreciation one-shot will be ran by CryptoFox Gaming, who stepped away. There he is. There she is. There's CryptoFox Gaming. Let me see. 400 is when it will be. So when we get up to 400 subscribers, that's when it will happen. We've been dropping hints all through our probably last 2 months, 3 months of sessions. We've dropped several hints on what the theme might be. So you can look back at those and see if you can pick it out. Our monthly giveaway is to be determined still for this month, especially since I've got a few things going on this month, so it'll be weird. I'll have to pick something. But we do have one for individuals of the giant tier or higher on our Patreon. As far as the audiobook project is concerned, we have most of the classes recorded, but we're running into a situation where the rate at which we're able to record, edit, re-edit into a video form, and then get out to you guys is not nearly as close as all the changes are coming out. I'm not particularly pleased with the way Paizo is just putting out a bunch of changes as everything's happening instead of waiting for, a few months like they were supposed to, which cuts into our ability to keep up with what would be pertinent information for you guys, which was the point of the audio project. So it's up in the air right now whether we'll continue, but if you have an opinion on it, leave it in the comments below. I will make probably a video about it asking for opinions here before I leave on my trip at the end of the week. But all that said, that's all the announcements. Anything we need to go over for Black Dragon Gaming before we begin?
Nope.
So there you go. All right, everybody. Now we are back. And recap for last session. A lot happened. They found out that they were not obliterated when they were teleported somewhere. They seem to be in a grassy coastline, and that's where they found themselves waking up. Tibelda was... Everybody else seemed fairly okay, but Tibelda was definitely not feeling herself. And Mulgren and... we established that Mulgren as well as Charlie were not with them. So there is that to consider. Now we know we did not time travel. Well, you don't know that you did or did not time travel. So
you just
that
said
was a
we
question.
Teleported.
Okay, I didn't specify where, when, or how.
Teleporting to the past.
I used the term specifically, so I left it on purpose to leave it ambiguous.
Good.
But they found themselves where they found themselves. They got teleported, transported, whatever word you want to use, somewhere. Somewhere with a coastline, somewhere with similar to if not the same type of constellational arrangements. So somewhere in the not quite on the equator, but above the equator, the northern hemisphere of Sosnak Ra, which is the planet that all this takes place on. And those came from information gathered through nature and stuff like that. The main thing that happened was that they followed a green wolf that had appeared, a green wolf the size of a horse. So it was one that Octarion was familiar with, and it kind of led them on, and it led them past a road, past a wagon road that seemed to have some use, but not a lot. The group journeyed on and traveled for a day going that way. And then after they did, they camped. Well, someone rolled a natural 1 on their watch. So she fell asleep. So Jalurie botched it. And as a punishment, she got her boot stole, one of her her daggers. Yeah, she got her boot stole, dagger stole, and all the meat that they had to hunt that day to be able to provide, because they didn't know if they were close to anything or anywhere near anything. So they did some survivaling for that. All said, 3 of them branched off and went after the assailants, or the thieves, which would be Octarion, Cashew, and Jalurie. So Octarion, Cashew, and Jalurie all went looking for her stuffs and the meat. Jarrko was more concerned about getting where the wolf was going, or leading them. So he watched over Tibelda, who again was feeling very sick, and weird things were going on with her. She had tried to lean on Jarrko's shoulder and had like split off like 2 hands in a visual double vision type thing. It slipped through Jarrko, but she caught herself again, and it was solid. And it had happened enough that everybody had noticed that occasionally she just feels really tired right now, but occasionally she would go like it was like her form would shake and then come back together. So that is what's been going on with her. The Jarrko and her went off and did not wait on everybody else. They were like, nope, they can track the wagon. So they went and kept moving forward towards the following the green wolf. The other 3 went and found a small mound, really small mound, in the grassy field area. About, I think we said 30 minutes kind of tracking, so about 15 minutes if they had just known where it was to walk to get there. And it had a kind of a thatched door to it that opened up into a little chute is what it was. And they're like, well, they're all down there, and they could hear them talking and jabbering and stuff like that. So they went down there with some difficulty because Cashew decided to go first. Well, Cashew is very big. It's been established that he's like 8 feet tall. Now he's mechanically just he's just medium sized, but it's been established that he's like 8 feet tall and not precisely thin. So he got stuck in the entrance because he just jumped down the entrance and got stuck halfway. So all of the commotion, there was no surprise. Everybody down there started hearing it. It was like, whoa, 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 whoa. And then Jalurie was going around the back to find a entrance. While that was happening, they didn't want Cashew to get attacked from below, so Octarion was stomp, 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 bouncing up and down onto Cashew's shoulder to swoosh, to get him to shoot out the back side. And he was very successful I did not roll that there was any non-lethal damage or anything, but it would have been funny too, because then things would have changed a little bit as well. But they get down there. They're basically boom, boom, fall down at the same time because they don't catch themselves to be able to land on their feet, except for Octarion, I believe. And so he and Cashew both come down into pitch black darkness. Turns out that there was 2 goblins, a bugbear, and a hobgoblin down there. And the fight was on. So, long story short on that, because you can watch the actual session, people survived, obviously, but it was hard fought from the idea. It was hard fought from the onset, considering that they had to deal with rolls that were against them, though the damages weren't too very high, so it was all right. All right, and that's kind of where we stopped, because basically they just got the stuff back, looted the area, and then started to head back and found that Jarrko and Jalurie were gone. So
Jalurie's gone?
Not Jalurie, Tibelda. Jarrko and Tibelda had split. So, what we're going to do is, as we visually in our minds come away, as we mentally in our minds come away from the visual of Jalurie, Cashew, and Octarion being like, he left, well, I gotta go find him, and it's not hard to track him. We're kind of bird's eye viewing, coming up from that and zooming in real quick to the wagon being pulled by the 2 boars, and Jarrko driving. Tibelda's in the back. She feels somewhat better now. She's not nearly as tired as she was, and not nearly as off feeling. But you guys find yourself going on. You're about an hour plus ahead of everybody else. So you're and you're starting to see some trees come into view. You had seen them before, but they're starting to get close, and you're starting to see that those hills are leading into those trees that you had been watching for. And that seems to be where the green wolf is leading you. So, there you go. You guys may take it away if there's anything you'd like to do, or would you like to just follow the wolf?
Do I notice anything in particular about the woods around us?
You haven't quite reached the woods yet. You're starting to see like the sapling, those small saplings that precurse certain woods. It does seem to be a deciduous forest, like oak and pin oak and stuff like that.
Okay, I guess we keep following the wolf then.
Okie dokie. So the cleric and the barbarian travel forward awkwardly. As you guys continue on, it takes a better portion of the day to get where you're going, but eventually you guys do. The rest of the group probably wouldn't be able to catch up to you right away. They're probably not trying to, considering that you guys are going somewhat slower. So, as you guys continue, you start to come around and you take this turn, and the hill that you take the turn away, you see the woods right there. It's like all these little saplings, and then all of a sudden, woods. The portion of the woods that you're at seems to be, the woods aren't necessarily evil looking or anything like that, but they're dark. There's clouds over. It's cloudy today, so there's lots of shadows being cast, and most of the shadows are unbroken. So the wood is deeper in that darkness than it usually would be. You do see the light of a small fire up ahead on this kind of makeshift path that you see the wolf leading you on. You definitely are able to smell the fire. Seems to be cooking, not necessarily something that's particularly recognizable, but maybe a stew or something like that. Something with a savory meat for sure. You hear some mumbling, some kind of far-off mumbled noises, but it's probably just the person talking or something like that. It does seem to be just one voice based upon what you guys are understanding right now.
Okay.
All right.
I'll stop the wagon.
Okay.
I think we should take a look who this lonely camper is.
Seems like a good idea. We don't want them to attack us later.
Okie dokie.
So let's not like try and sneak up on him, but like, is there like a way to get a vantage point so you can see the person from afar?
Probably. You're starting to come into the woods now. It's still a little sparse, but it's not nearly as sparse. It's not nearly the type of wood just yet where you couldn't see past some of the trees and get an idea of that person. There's not a lot of undergrowth. It seems to be a fairly clean wood up here. So you can see the fire from where you are, and you're seeing the light of the fire. So it's not like it's super far away, but it is enough of a distance where if you stopped, you'd walk for probably maybe 5-10 minutes to get to where it is.
All right. I'm gonna look for tracks of this person.
I'm gonna see if I can climb a tree.
Okay. So, tracks would be a perception
Survival.
would be just to find them, but survival would be to identify if this belongs to some kind of person around here. Yes. And then the tree.
It's a person with feet.
It's a person with feet. That's kind of what an 8 gets you. Yeah, it seems like there's a medium-sized creature, probably. That's most of what you can get.
Probably 2 feet. One left and maybe one right. But it could be a double lefty.
It's possible. It never know.
It's a mimic that fucked up how to make feet and just has 2 left feet. That's the giveaway.
Oh, it'd be a doppelganger then. I don't think
Faceless
mimics
stalker.
can change into. I don't think mimics can change into anything living. They have to change into inanimate objects. If I remember.
So
right.
mannequin.
Yeah, but that does mean that they can change into a suit of armor because it's an inanimate object. So,
It's true.
but
So
that's what you
athletics to
find.
climb the tree.
It is athletics to climb the tree. So anyway, Tibelda does a lot better climbing the tree than Jarrko looking around. Tibelda easily makes it up the tree. These trees are a lot easier to climb than some of the ones you may have practiced on in the highlands, as those are usually a bit more spindly and a lot more sappy. But these shimmy on up, and you are able to get up pretty much the top if you want to. It's a moderately sized probably oak tree that you go up.
Okay, I'll stay below the canopy so that I can like try and see them.
Okay. As you peer through, you can make me a perception check if you want to really get an idea of what's going on.
I was at the wrong place on the character sheet.
15. All right. Like I said, there may be 5 or 10 minutes of walking away, so it's not that hard to see. It looks like there's one individual, and they're kind of walking around and moving, and you see them occasionally get up from a chair that they have, an odd-looking chair they have, and they'll go over and pick up some sticks and throw it out. They seem to be slightly hunched, so they either have they're either hunchbacked or they're older, from your guess. But they do appear to be alone, and they do appear to be either humming or singing to themselves.
Okay, I'm gonna hop down and tell Jarrko what I see. And it's just a tad concerning. Like, you don't mess with old people who live alone in the woods.
It's like,
I wouldn't know, actually.
this is only the most recent woods I've been to. I haven't been to many.
Also, who brings a whole chair out into the woods? This person is weird.
Yes, that is kind of strange. I mean, we don't really know where we are, and this person could perhaps enlighten us a little bit.
That's fair.
And if it's an old person, it shouldn't be any danger. I mean, if it's, a crazy old coot.
Yeah, but if you can survive alone in the woods old, you must be pretty badass.
Or you're just not very picky with what you're eating.
Who knows?
So do we approach this person then?
Yeah, I think we should.
Alright, let's do it.
Okay. You scurry down, talk about that, and then you guys start to head that way. Do you take the wagon with you, or you leave it here, or what? The wolf has been kind of waiting on you, and he didn't get too far ahead of you, but you can tell by the trajectory of which he's going that he's probably going to lead you over to that place there.
Yeah, sure. Let's take the wagon.
Okay. Taking the wagon, you have to wind around a couple trees, but it appears flat enough. Nothing gets in the way really too much. You continue on, and well, it's not really clump with pigs. It's and
That's not how pig feet sounds like.
That's
No, and
literally the noise of pig feet as they contact the ground as they move.
no, that's more like
Pigs in Kelligoth have their
Squishy.
snouts just right here. Just right there. Helps them find the food.
usually pigs are too loud to be able to hear anyway. With their
That
feet.
is fair. Yeah.
But especially big boars. You move on about halfway through your distance to that person. The wolf goes around a tree and seems to vanish as the other person kind of looks up, like waves, and looks kind of quizzically. It appears to be an old woman.
Is she waving at us?
She appears to be.
Back as we're approaching.
All right. So you continue on. She doesn't try to yell or anything while you're coming up, but you see her go into her little. It seems to be kind of a lean-to tent that's high enough for her to dunk down into on this one end, and then go in. And she comes back out with another 2 cups and puts them out. And you see now that she's cooking probably some stew. And as you approach, she smiles and says, "Oh, hello, kids. What are you doing out this far?"
No, I don't think we're children. But right. So we are. We're trying to find our way. We are not quite sure where we are, actually. You could say that we are lost, and you would be fairly correct.
Oh, well, that doesn't sound very good at all. Come on, sit down and share some of my stew, and we can get you oriented on where you need to go, where destiny might call you.
Right, that sounds wonderful. What is the stew made of? No, sit down.
It's some fresh venison that I got, no more than 2 days ago.
Oh. So you're well you're well and able to hunt then.
Well, I have friends that come and check on me sometimes.
Ah, I see. That is very nice. Isn't that very nice, Tibelda?
It's so nice. So is the green wolf yours?
I didn't see a green wolf, dear. She kind of looks around.
Okay, just curious.
As you guys kind of settle in and sit down, she seems to be. She's got kind of an apricot-y. Her skin may have started apricot, but it's been suntanned and has definitely seen some wearing. So it's one of those skins that has gotten tanned and then faded with age. She's definitely wrinkled, whether it's over wrinkling or under wrinkling, you don't know. But she's got a good amount of wrinkles on her face that you can see. She's mainly bundled up, as people tend to do. And she's kind of cooking over her pot and has been around. Like I said, she's got her lean-to there. She's dressed mainly in some blues and some deeper blues and some grays. And she's wearing a head wrap that she has little dangly bits off of.
Right, so you wouldn't happen to know what these woods are called, for example?
Oh, I don't think they've been named yet, son.
Oh, how so?
Oh, the Atlantans haven't been here that long to name it.
The who?
The Atlanti. They haven't been here that long to name it. Well, relatively.
It's an Atlanti.
An Atlanti. Tibelda doesn't know. You can try to roll
I was just
A
gonna ask her.
knowledge. Oh, you're gonna ask her. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just asking
Huh.
her.
She looks at you kind of funny. They're Atlanti, dear. And she kind of looks at you close. And she looks you up and down. And she does get a little bit closer. And she goes and takes a deep breath in. And she leans back in her chair. And you look at her chair. It's got clawed feet. It's not like a chair you would see out in the woods. It's got clawed feet on these holding round dills, and it's padded. It's a really comfortable looking chair. But she leans back. See sound effects. And she says, "You kids really aren't from around here, are you?"
No. I suppose not. No. So these Atlanti, how do they look like? If you could describe them.
She thinks a bit. They look like me and they look like her, but taller. They're not dwarves like you.
All right. So, since these woods are not named, is there anything nearby that is named?
Well, yeah. There's Antelia. That's the closest settlement of the Atlanti that's here.
Slipped up, Adam.
Well, I didn't name these. This is from a past. Someone else named this.
Oh, it is, isn't it? This is yeah. I know what this is. Sweet.
So, anyway, the Antalya is where one of the Atlanti generals is stationed at. He's resisted New Atlantia.
Okay.
Okay.
Which direction would this settlement be?
It's south of here. Long ways south. At least for me and my old bones to go walking.
Did we come from the south?
You came from the east to the west. You passed a road that went south, but it was not well traveled.
By the way, pardon my my rude behavior, but what is your name? I am Jarrko.
Oh, my name's Mama Moody.
Do you happen to know a big fella named Cashew?
No, I don't think so. I don't think I've ever met anybody named Cashew.
All right. He speaks about some mama, too, so I thought it could be the person that he was referring to.
All mamas know each other.
You know they
Part
do.
of being a mom,
Exactly.
you join the hive mind of moms, so you know when your child is doing terrible things when they're supposed to be studying.
Dun, dun, dun. You see her take a deep breath in and out, and she says, "Why don't you all enjoy the stew while we wait for your other friends to get here?"
Oh, are you sure that they're on their way?
Oh, yes, I can tell.
How can you tell that?
Oh, she touches her nose slowly and says, Mama Moody's got the sight.
God damn it, Adam. I'm playing the wrong character to show up. We should have all played Alchemist. We could have just killed her and got all the information we needed for the whole campaign right there on the spot.
Oh,
I
dear.
need some Alchemist fire.
All right. And she drank poisons.
She drank whatever the fuck you gave her. She didn't care. She just wanted to trip balls and see things.
But she saw things that were real.
That's accurate. Also, you do a very good Mama. Moody is the name that we are using.
It's the name we're using. Thank you. But unless you guys stop her, she kind of gets up from her chair and goes back into her little huddle, her little lean-to. It's not little; it's a large lean-to.
I'll try the chair.
Okay.
Hey, someone crafted that specifically for her. To give her drugs till she dies.
It looks comfy.
Yeah, it did, didn't it? Comfiest chair in the wasteland.
It is very comfortable, Jarrko. And you kind of lean back in it, and you're eating on your stew, and you're like, oh. Not even the throne felt this good down there. It's a little soft, but you've gotten kind of used to there being soft things in the above.
Everything is padded.
So, but it sits real nice even underneath the softness.
You should try this chair, Tibelda. It's really good.
I don't know. There's a lot about this. This is pretty creepy.
No, it's just different.
To be fair to Jarrko, he has been hanging around with Cashew like a lot. So weird fae type stuff or weird stuff in general probably doesn't pay them nearly as much.
Whereas Tibelda's just like, nope, 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 nope.
Yep. All right. It takes about this little conversation and getting to her in a nice, safe-ish manner. Gave enough time for everybody to catch back up. By the time you're finishing up your food, it's good stew. Everybody else catches up.
But Adam, what if I wanted to do other things instead of catch back up?
Did you?
Yes.
You wanted to do what?
I don't know. It depends on what Jalurie wants to do.
Well, then you didn't want to do anything. You
That's
just wanted to be contrary.
No, I really wanted to see. Never, whatever, it doesn't matter. Continue your game.
Okie dokie. All right. So, Jalurie and Octarion catch up. Cashew, ever since the fight, about halfway catching up with the others, he started to feel odd and not really like himself. And the same thing that, as you guys went on, the same thing that was happening to Tibelda kind of started to go on with him. He started to see him kind of shimmer and shake and then come back together.
That's not good.
No. It's contagious. It's a thing called life, people. It's contagious. It gets in way of schedules. But you guys continue on, and you make it to the rest of everybody. If Jarrko kept sitting there, he probably fell asleep with some extra stew in his lap. And he's just kind of... And Tibelda's still there looking uncomfortable.
Do
you
we
two
see them
are.
approaching.
You do see them approaching
I'm
eventually.
gonna wave them down. Yeah, what took you so long?
What do you mean, what took us so long? You're the ones who ran off with the wagon.
You probably move faster without the wagon.
Well,
Oh, I got my shoes back. And she sort of flexes her feet.
all right.
I'm gonna relay to Jalurie all the information that Mama Moody just gave us.
Okie dokie. And you guys do see, guys do hear somebody else. Somebody's in there going, da da dum dee dee, da da dum dee, do 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 do, da 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 dee. And it gets a little off key sometimes, but within the lean-to, you hear that.
Well, then, what Jalurie's gonna do is she's going to call out to whoever's in the tent and see if she knows anything about what's going on with Cashew.
Okay. So she kind of comes out. Oh, just a minute, dears. I'm coming. I've got to get some more. Clankety clank, clank, clank. Ah, here they are. And she opens it up and she takes out 3 more cups. And she gives you guys a cup after she scoops it into the stew and says, here you go, dears. That's how she gets introduced to you as Mama Moody. And you wanted her to check out Cashew?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So she's handing these out. She kind of looks around a bit and looks at Cashew and goes, you see her go, oh yes, you're all from very far away.
Why is he glitching?
I don't know what that term means. But you kind of get across the idea. She says, because you guys don't belong here. You kids are supposed to be somewhere else. Some place else. And I suspect, and she leans in close again and goes, as she breathes in, she closes her eyes and says, some time else.
Time.
He pops up out of his sleeve and time.
This chair must be cursed because you fall asleep in it.
Oh yes, I do all the time.
You say something about time.
Yes, you all aren't supposed to be here. Not in this place and not in this time. It's not where you belong.
Well, how do we get back to where we do belong?
I don't know. Where do you think you are?
Someplace else?
We were in Kelligoth.
I don't know what Kelligoth is.
See, that's the same thing with the Atlantis for us. We have no clue.
Oh, you must be from a far off time then.
Or you are from a far off time.
I suppose that's a fair assumption, she says as she taps you to get you out of her chair.
Considering you haven't named the woods or the plains, have you named the whatever body of water this is?
I haven't.
Right, but no one has.
I don't know. A lot of
Well-
things changed in the cataclysm.
The cat
Was
what?
the cataclysm?
It's fairly common knowledge that if you know the year, the AC at the end stands for after cataclysm.
Oh, so what year is it this year?
Oh, let me see. I've been out here a while. And
I can imagine.
she starts to look up as she goes to sit down in her chair. So if you don't move, she's going to sit on you.
No! Oh, of course, that's your chair.
So, so she sits in her chair. And she kind of sits there and leans back again. I'd say it's probably 100 years after the cataclysm.
That's quite, yeah. See, then you are from a far place, and we're far away from each other.
I'd suspect so. Why? Where did you come from?
Oh, we're already past 1,500 years after the cataclysm.
Oh, goodness. That's a long ways.
1,526 to be precise.
Oh. I bet a lot of things have changed.
Yes, probably.
Here.
Do you happen to know someone named Atulis or Dom Thule?
Let me see. And she actually doesn't know. Let me see. Okay. I've heard the name Atulis before. It has something to do with the Fordidians.
The who?
The Fordidians. They're elves that live north of here. Across the strait.
If that is the case, then we're in relatively the same spot where we were beforehand, but I guess something happened. Not really sure what.
Oh, I don't know. Here, let me go. I'll be right back. And she gets up out of her chair again. Goes into her thing, pushes the little door open, the little... It's probably leather because she's getting supplies from somewhere. So it's probably leather, and she flops it open. You guys can make me a perception check if you want to kind of peek in where she's going in her lean-to.
Wah wah.
Wah, wah, ooh, Jarrko. Ooh.
You guys are all a bunch of pieces of shit. Jesus.
Oh, everyone
Christ.
got a 1.
Yeah, hang on. My dice are downstairs.
Oh, really?
Everyone's
Why are
a
your
meathead.
dice downstairs? You're gaming tonight, Tommy.
So what? Ah!
There. Well, everybody else is distracted by the stew and the fact that they are over 1,000 years in the past. But the Octarion kind of looks past all that, and he not only does he see within her, as she pushes back the leather flap, he sees not only inside, but he sees that when she enters in, her form changes. She's still got the same clothes on, but she's a bit bigger. She's got tusks that sprout out, and a third eye, and stark black hair underneath all of her stuff. And her skin is kind of a blue that has faded as well, and she's very wrinkled. So you don't, with your perception, you think not only is she a different creature, but she's not hiding her age. She is old, but she's not hiding the type of creature that, the type of age she has, but she is hiding the type of creature she is. You look in, and the inside of her lean-to is slightly large. It's definitely larger than what you would think it would be. It's the size of at least a one-room cabin in there, and it seems to actually be set up like a one-room cabin instead of a lean-to with a bunch of leaves on the side and a flap in the front and stuff like that. You also see that all but her, that all her eyes are kind of clouded.
Okay.
Okay. So you see her rummage around in there real quick. The flap falls down. He says, "Ah, there it is." And she grabs it, whatever it is. And she comes out with this little scroll wrap. And she says, "Here you go. Where on the map or where are you from?" So there you go. You guys now have a map of Atlata'a Voltuma.
Oh, jeez.
Is everything water?
A lot of it.
Oh,
Because, yeah, it just looks like a bunch of islands to me.
At the moment, that's what you're seeing.
Oh, great.
It's not to scale, though, mind you.
What?
so a bunch of this is just ocean.
This is a hand-drawn map that you're getting, so it's not nearly to scale.
Tibelda looks kind of freaked out. Why is everything underwater?
Antelia is pretty close, I suppose, to where we were.
Oh, that's a good place. There's stuff you can find there. That's probably where you're gonna head first if you're looking for a way home.
Mm-hmm. And where are we on this map?
Oh, you're right there where those hills meet those trees above Antelia.
Ah, of course, I recognize it now. So, how far is it to Antelia?
Oh, I haven't been in a long time. There's a road to the east of here that leads down to Artelia and north to a very small port. It's not even on this map. But you'd have to drive all the way back to that. It'd take a day and a half or more to get there. If you wanted to get back to the road, you could take a small path that's through the woods here, or maybe go down towards the west, towards the coast. I think there's still a small village there. The road through the woods is more dangerous, though. The east road is definitely gonna be more safe.
When you say dangerous, what kind of danger are you implying?
Oh, there's several things they like to hide in there. I don't go down that far. And they don't come up to me.
So, what's the red X by the mountain up there?
Well, that's not an X, dear. That's a dragon.
Oh,
Is it literal?
From what I've heard.
do you know anything about it?
No. I just know that he's not... I do know that he's not got one color scales.
Oh, he has multiple colors.
Yeah, mainly light colors from what I'm told.
Never heard about that. But then again, I don't know much about the dragons.
Oh, that's surprising. The dwarves up at the north mountain there, where you see that other little house, they fight dragons all the time.
Oh, that sounds wonderful.
I suppose that would all depend on perspective.
What do you know about Treaty Hills?
Well, there's been a bunch of aggression between Antelia and New Atlantia. The New Atlantia is the old god of the Atlanteans that brought down the cataclysm on us. Antelia is led by one of the deserted generals.
Now, I'm not saying that you're making all of this up, but you could just make up words and we would pretty much believe you at this point.
Oh? Well, that wouldn't be very nice of me now, would it?
Well, you know, some people are like that.
Sounds like a real, what's the word? Penis move.
Yes, people should get penalized for that.
And she goes, yeah, they should, huh? And when she says they should, huh, you see her kind of sigh a little bit. But she goes back to eating her stew.
Well, I suppose we stay here for the night and head back down to Antelia in the morning?
What time is it?
You spent a good part of the day getting there. So you left at sunup. So you got maybe at best half a day of travel, whichever way you want to go. You could go back to the safe road, which is that eastern road you guys crossed getting here. You could go to. She mentioned a fishing village that may be to the east of here. I mean, the west of here, but she's not sure. She doesn't go anywhere and visit, and no one's come from there to her in a long time. She says that the south road through the forest from where she is, the south road from where she is to the forest, she can show you, and it's just a path. It will get you on a straighter course to Antelia, but you'd have to deal with any kind of stuff that popped up then too. There's she says some of the escaped slaves live there.
I'm not even sure Antelia is our best bet. If we're trying to get back to our own time, we're not necessarily sure that there's anyone in Antelia who could help us.
You want to visit the dragons?
That seems like a good way to get eaten.
You're right. No, I'm just saying, this very nice old woman is proposing Antelia, and I don't think we have any better option at this very moment.
That's
I wonder
fair.
if what's his name will be there. The man in green, I think. So yeah.
Do I still have my stone that he gave us?
Mm-hmm.
Does it mean anything?
You guys take the time to look at your stones.
Yeah.
Those of you that have them, I believe we established Cashew does not have his because he threw it against the thing.
Yeah.
Jalurie was holding hers, so she still has hers. So everybody has it except Cashew. You guys look at it; it's still, it's one of those things where when Cashew fades away, you see it get bright, but when the shaking stops, it gets really kind of like a very, very faint glimmer within the bead itself. Don't everybody all jump at one time with ideas.
Yeah, I'm just like.
So how do we do what Cashew's doing? Because maybe if we can do that a little bit more, we can get back. I don't know.
What if we split in half across time?
That's a distinct possibility, she says.
Tibelda looks mortified.
So this fishing village, I suppose we would take a boat from there? Otherwise, I don't see why we would take that road.
Just to find some civilizations.
Oh.
That's up to you.
I mean, we just came from this very big town out in the wasteland. I think that we would be disappointed regardless of what we end up at this point. You know?
Jalurie is trying to will herself back to where she was.
You want to try and will yourself back to where you were? Is that that's a 13 to try and do that with a will save?
Good idea, Zenny.
Jalurie goes. Yeah, nothing does not seem to do anything.
Alright, I guess we're gonna go to this strange town and be like, we're from the future. Can anyone help us get back there?
Well, I mean, you could just sit around and wait, I suppose.
Want to wait a few thousand plus years?
Yeah, I'm human. I can do that.
Fair enough.
Can freeze you, and hopefully technology in the future will enable you to not become just Slurpee.
Well, I suppose you could get somebody, you could kill somebody, but then use a constant gentle repose on them. Like every time,
Yeah.
every few minutes. And just have it pre-programmed and set in there so they would always kick off every few minutes, like a constant permanency on it. Maybe you could sustain
That's
someone that way.
agonizing.
And say
you're
fun.
I mean, you're dead. You're in the afterlife.
Kind of.
I mean, yeah. If you're dead, it's just your body that's being kept, and then they
Yeah, so
resurrect you when you're in the future.
Yeah, see, there you go. Totally works out. You put some money, you put some gold in the bank first. By the time you get out, the interest will have it at platinum. You'll be able to pay for your resurrection, and once your resurrection can be paid for, you automatically have it in your will that somebody resurrect you, and boom, you just go in and out of the afterlife. There's no problems could possibly come off.
Oh, that is sort of like Atulis's general from the coffin thing you did.
Is that in
Maybe we
character?
need to
or
find
out?
that.
He did not gentle repose.
that was not a gentle repose there. There wasn't nothing gentle about that.
Yeah.
It knocked
was
us
rough.
back in time.
Gotta get back in time. Oh,
Okay. All right. I think we need to make a decision. I think we want to go back. I mean, this place is, not that great.
I don't know what makes
I
it
don't have
any
any
better.
seafaring skills. We should definitely go back.
Yeah,
I don't want to be ripped across space and time.
I don't like the open sea either. It is very empty, but still like just full of danger.
Empty but full.
Yeah, I mean, imagine it. There's no ceiling. There's no floor.
Yep.
It's just
Floor down there somewhere.
the floor underneath you, but like out of the water, like you have. There's just nothing to protect you against. Ugh.
The sea is not Alex's buddy.
It does seem to greatly increase the chances of even just drowning.
Like
Yes.
exponentially.
Oh. So I say we have Atlantia, dragons, or just spin the bottle and go in a random direction.
Yeah, dragon seems like a last resort. That's fair.
Yeah. I mean, it would be like incredible to see one, but you have to like be able to tell someone that you saw it. Otherwise, it's just not worth it.
Agreed. So sleep in the Nantelia then.
Yes, I suppose we could leave early. We may camp here, Mama.
Oh, all right. That sounds wonderful.
Yes,
I'll see if I can get some bread to go with the stew.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
Do you all like butter?
Yes.
Bread and butter and stew it is. And she goes back into her little lean-to.
If you have cheese, that is very delicious too.
I look. And so she goes in. Let me see what the odds of her having that. Not very high. Not very high, considering. Oh, what do you know? She comes out with bread. Well, she doesn't come out with it right away. You start to smell the smells of fresh bread baking wafting out of her lean-to. And as you do, you get some cheese. You see her, she brings out some cheese and some butter, and she says, "The bread will be ready shortly." And she goes back in her lean-to.
Oh. Where do you get the wheat and grain?
Oh, occasionally I'll have some friends visit me, and they bring me things, and then I tell them things.
Oh, so you basically sell information for food?
I suppose that's an accurate and direct way to say it.
Yes, it is very common in the future.
Oh, that's good to know, that my business will not die out.
Oh no, information is always a great, valuable thing.
Okie dokie. She goes ahead and finally gets the bread baked. So she brings it on out. And it is fresh bread. And she says, "Yeah. Now, it's best if you let it sit for a few minutes before you dig in."
Jalurie will spread some butter on it so that it melts while she's waiting for it to cool off. And she'll also put some cheese like between two different slices.
Okay. She caught that thing that Frednell was doing with that bullite, and she's like, sandwiches. Those are the things. All right. So she makes a cheese sandwich to go along with her stew, and everybody continues to have stew and sit and visit. So if there's anything else you would like to know about Atlanta Voltuma, or just Atlanta, or just Tuma, whichever you would prefer.
I'll call it
Where are you?
The land of Ah.
Land of not far from the land of Ooh and the land of Oh.
Yep. I mean, if she's willing, I guess you could just point at the map like, "What's that? What's that? What's that?"
Okay. Well, it wouldn't hurt for me to give you guys a quick rundown of the landmarks. So we can play What's That? There's the Ford starting up north. There's the Fordidian Tower, which she doesn't know much about, but she does tell you that the elves of the Fordidian elves are a very powerful group of elves in the northern area. They're not like they're still very much wild elf-ish, but from the way she talks, they seem to be more civilized than the Fordids that you're familiar with. The Fordids that you're familiar with don't build things. They build things, but they don't mine, use stone. They don't use worked stone. But as you can definitely see on the map, there's the Fordidian Tower, which supposedly is where they're headquartered at, where all the Fordidians in that area are. At least the main force of them.
Yeah, the architecture looks amazing.
Oh, yeah. It's almost like it's really similar to those other towers that are on the map.
Yeah, but there's a distinct difference, though.
Yeah. Worm's Landing is where the Empire of the Worm, which seems to still exist this far back, has a trading area up there to control. The mountains right there seem to have quite a few riches and stuff left in them from the past Atlantean empire that was located kind of there, some of it. So now that some of it's underground, they seem to try and go in there and get something out of the mountains, some old things they used to be able to get before. The Empire of the Worm seems to control that, and the new Atlantia, the Atlantans are not very. The Atlantia are not very happy about that happening, but they understand that if they do anything about it against the Empire of the Worm, that they would have to do some serious battling. As she said, this largest mountain here, and it's near the center by the dragon and the other small mountain. That one with the house is where most of the dwarves are right now. And they mainly keep to themselves. They don't venture out much since the Cataclysm. Since the Cataclysm, they've actually retreated further back into what they used to do as far as commerce, from what she's heard. There is a point right there by the dragon at the north point of the island that you're on, that there's an occasional trade, and you think that's probably where that wagon road would have led to. But it's a very small port. It's nothing big. The dragon, she talks about having pale colored scales, but they're not this all one color. And she speaks of it. When she speaks of it, she says she may have seen it in a vision once or twice. She's not sure if it's the right one, but she sees a dragon that is kind of whitish with different multicolored scales, that also has a very fluffy, flowing mane. So it's not like dragons that you necessarily would hear of before. The mountains near Worm Landing also have a lot of those, also have several dragons that the dwarves fight. But they never seem to go lower than those dwarves. Probably because this other dragon is there. Antelia is where he's called the Bright General. Each of the generals have a title from New Atlantia, and his was Bright because when he was, legend says when he was born, not too terribly long before the Cataclysm in their time, in their relative time period, he was born and he had a special glow in his chest about him, and it has carried him through, and he's become very prestigious. He's gotten a lot of flack from New Atlantia for some reason. She's not up on politics. The Treaty Hills is where basically they meet to do the treaties between the two. That any kind of diplomatic meeting between New Atlantia and Antelia happens there. They don't attack each other on that island. They both have a presence there, and there's occasional scuffles, but no one outright starts waging war there. It's also where a lot of the trade that comes from Worm's Landing and a lot of the trade from that southern port, Port Orban, comes to. Port Orban goes to Treaty Hills. It doesn't go to one or the other. It doesn't go to Astelia or New Atlantia very often. Most of the trade goes from Port Orban to Treaty Hills because of logistics and the diplomatic situation. Port Orban is dominated by Atlanti, but they don't always take sides. There's people of both sides in Port Orban. The Tower of Adath, Adath is probably what she knows least about. It's a tower there. Supposedly there's something magical either about the tower or the person that lives there. That's about all she knows.
Oh, that's great to know more about the world.
Mm-hmm. So there's that. And I'm going to actually set it where you guys can edit in there and take your notes in there on that handout. So. And I may as well transport you guys over to here.
Neat.
All right.
Well, with that, I think we go to bed early and get up early and leave, pretty much, unless something happens.
Don't know. You guys can take watches if you want to. You see that she kind of falls asleep in her chair about 8 o'clock. Yeah, she falls asleep in her chair. You're gonna sneak back into her chair, Jarrko. You can get back in her chair. It's a good chair.
Yeah.
You're gonna leave early and try and get it in the wagon.
I'll take that chair and live happily ever after. All right. Yeah, I think guard is good because, I mean, she's weird. And the woods are apparently dangerous.
Okay. So, who's taking first guard then?
Tibelda can take first watch.
Okie dokie. All right. So, roll me a perception check. 19. Tibelda watches. She sits up with Mama Moody. Mama Moody is asleep most of the night. Oh. No, dear, no. No. And that's mainly what happens. She does wake up once or twice. And you see when she wakes up, she goes, oh, and she gets up out of her chair, wanders off into the distance some, relieves herself, you would suspect, and then comes back. She does like that like 2 or 3 times during your watch, so.
Getting old's hard.
Yeah. Oh, sorry to keep disturbing you, dear. Oh, you're really taking this out of time thing pretty hard.
Just never heard of anyone being able to time travel before.
Oh, well, it's not very common. The Overseer of Time doesn't like people to travel through.
The Overseer of Time?
Yeah. All the Atlanti know about him.
Who is that?
Don't know. He doesn't let you remember.
Well, that sounds familiar.
Oh? Well, hopefully it all works out for you, dear. You're a good girl. You deserve to have some happiness in your life. And she pats you like, grandmas do.
Oh, thanks, Mom, Moody.
Mm-hmm. You just wait, she says and stretches. You'll find yourself a nice man. And your voice, it's just, So, unless you have something you would like to ask her or talk to her about as she gets up and down several times, that's kind of how it will go with her.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. So who's up next for watch?
Oh, there's only 3 of us, and Jarrko is the only one who can see in the dark.
Okay. Can't hear you. You're saying something?
No.
You fixed the mute button.
No. Okay.
I think we'll have Octarion.
Oh, that's right.
Round.
Octarion's going to take a round. So, who would like to roll for Octarion? Boom.
Boom! Got it.
Boom. 2. Octarion. Okay. Well, it's a bit weird that we're just going to say it goes fine because it'd be more fun if somebody else saw it. Somebody who's here, Tommy. So his goes off fairly well without a hitch because Mama Murphy, I mean, not Mom, I did it, I slipped. Mama Moody has taken to humming during his. She goes humming and singing to herself. Nights in white satin, never reaching the end. Stories I've written, and she kind of keeps it watch out too when she's humming along, apparently. So next.
Huh? 13.
All right. So Jarrko also has the Mama Moody up and down thing because she falls asleep during his and goes like, she gets back up and says, "Oh, you're the first dwarf I've ever had any chance to really talk to."
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Most of us.
I thought you have so many friends.
I do. Not many of them are dwarves.
I see.
They don't like the Atlanti much, so they don't come to the top, to the surface much.
No, I can definitely see why. It is very barren, and I think the open water is quite terrifying.
Oh? I guess it could be pretty scary if you can't swim.
Yeah. I mean, not just that, but yeah.
Well, I can appreciate that position. She doesn't leave her chair very long, though, Jarrko, so it'd be pretty hard to steal it. And you'd think she'd probably just sit on you if you got in her chair again.
It might just be worth it, though.
Never know. All right. And let me see. Cashew cannot take a watch. He is phasing at the moment. And for those that bother to look, it continues with your beads. Your gems, your beads still do that thing where they start to shine brighter as he starts to fade out, but then they come back. And still that pinpoint. So that means that Jalurie is the last one.
Yep.
All right, 13. You see that she stays asleep most of the time of yours. She only gets up twice during yours. And she gets up. Excuse me, dear. I'll be back in a minute. And she wanders off. And she goes a little farther this time than she did let's say this is the second time she did it then. So the first time she did it, she went off a little ways. Second time she goes off a little bit further. She's almost at another set of, there's a small clearing, so she goes almost to the other side of that clearing. And as she does, you see her go, "Oh goodness, shoot! Get out of here!" And she, you hear a bunch of noise over there.
Jalurie will wake people and start running.
Okay, so you start to wake people up, and you're waking everybody up. By the time you wake everybody up and everybody gets up and looks over there, you see that that her robes have swung around whatever it was, and all you see now is this of viscera from within her robes, and then they come back, and then can't even go to the relieve yourself in peace. And she toddles back.
Those are some pretty spooky ropes you got there.
Oh yes, dear. They work really well.
Remind me never to make you mad.
Oh, it takes a little bit, dear.
All right, Jalurie will just continue her watch then.
Okay. I'm glad that no one ended up attacking this Mama Moody. All right. So, that concludes the watches. You guys can now set out.
So I know that it sounds perhaps a little bit foolish, but I'd like to take the dangerous road through the forest.
Oh, okay. You can do that. There's lots of really angry slaves down that way, though. They might not attack you since you're a dwarf, but the others look too much like Atlanti to probably not have a problem.
Where are these slaves from?
Oh, probably from Antelia.
Oh,
I don't think that they would flee all the way from New Atlantia. New Atlantia has its own slaves escape, I'm sure.
all right. Right, so what say y'all?
Let's do it.
All right.
Okay. So you guys head down that way. You're going down the south road. So let me see. Okay. You guys head down that way, saying goodbye to Mama Moody. And she continues to hum to herself as she goes back to her pot. Let me catch this too. Okay. Make me a perception check as you guys are heading out. She takes you down to the little, at best it's a path. It'll take some maneuvering to get the cart through, but other than that, it's not going to be much of a problem. So you guys start to head down that way. Let me see. All right. The 20 and the 23, you guys are kind of starting to get farther and farther away. Mama Moody's waving, and then as you see her waving, you see coming through the trees another individual that seems to be coming along the little path that led to the west. And it seems to be someone with a straw hat, a big backpack on. From what Jarrko and Emmy can see, looks to be a villager of some kind. And they seem to come and approach Mama Moody and bow their head and kind of get the backpack out, and she waves to them, and they seem to visit, and then they get kind of out of sight as you guys continue on. Seems one of her friends came visiting. So, all right. You continue on. The trees here are grown fairly well. None of them are going to be very, very large. They seem to be no older than maybe 20 years, but they've got good fertile soil, so they've grown to be about, they probably had 3 or 4 rings per year. So they've gotten fairly large. You still smell some of the saltiness from the sea as you continue to pass along this wooded road. Not nearly as strong as it was at the coast, of course, but still there, still a hint of it, mixed with this forest smell. The animals seem to be chirping and going on, and all those rustlings that you would usually hear, you hear. You hear spring birds. So Octarion is able to identify that it probably is spring around here, much like you guys were thinking before when you came through. The air still feels kind of heavy and stuffy, even though there's a slight breeze that comes through every, few minutes maybe, every once in a while, with no real consistency as far as time in between and intervals. But it feels like an aura of a pretty good forest. Calming, soothing. You occasionally hear a trickle from a stream that's probably close by. And you continue and continue, and then you hear, "Hold."
You're muted again.
That.
Who's holding us?
We want you to hold. Still your wagon.
Who's we?
And you see a single full orc step out from behind one of the trees in front of you into the way. He seems to be carrying a crossbow.
Hail, stranger. What can we do for you on this beautiful day?
You can pay the toll to go through the woods.
Who is asking for the toll?
We are.
And who are we?
We are the Goths. Goth Indian.
I see. How much is the toll?
What do you have? He says with a smile.
Oh,
Or
so it's not a set number.
Oh, I think it is, he says as he kind of gets his crossbow a bit more comfortable. And, Woo, Kane, you're coming in late. Woo. I know, you missed so much. You missed Mama Moody.
I
Now you're
don't
gonna
know
have to
what
watch
that
it.
means.
Too bad for you. You're gonna have to watch. We gotta release him though. All right. But Cashew kind of comes back around a bit, and he starts to sit up as you guys are getting demanded to stop and stuff. The affliction of whatever it is, the temporal distortion disease or whatever you want to say, seems to
glitch.
affect. Yeah. Seems to affect Octarion, who both him and his horse seem to. They've been following behind and haven't been very up on it today.
Sometimes you just have an off day. Man.
Yeah.
You don't sleep enough. You wait till 10:30 p.m. on Sunday night to start recording your Monday Forgotten Race review video.
Sometimes that happens. It can happen to anybody. All right. So, this is an orc. He's demanding that. He's saying that he's a Goth Gillian. For those curious.
Oh wait, I'm descended from the Goths. So basically they're just taking money from themselves. This is a terrible idea.
Are we there? Did we catch up? What's going on?
Yes, see? This is why you're not supposed to skip, Kane.
This is why you're not supposed to help your grandfather move dirt.
Yeah. Why you putting dirt in Plantis, Kane?
It's because the only reason I'm back as quick as I was is because it was only like 300 pounds of dirt instead of 600 like I had thought.
Damn, lucky you.
Yeah, it was only half as much dirt.
Well, it's a dirty job.
Then apparently I have to do it.
Well, before we pay, perhaps you could share some information with us. I was wondering if you knew somebody named Tulis Fordidian, apparently.
He kind of looks at you.
But everybody knows what's about. Everybody knows about him. What are you talking about?
Well, we're I suppose you could say we're looking for him, I guess would be a way to put it.
You hear laughs, not just his, but you hear probably 4 or 5 laughs, his included in that, and it says,
You don't know who you're looking for. No one goes looking for the Shadow Lord. No one.
I feel as though I am missing some critical information.
Oh, Cashew, you are yourself.
Yes. Was I not myself before?
No, you were acting very strange.
That does sound like me.
Well, okay, you were acting very normal.
What does mean he hasn't been hung yet?
What are you talking about? Just give us your money.
Oh, we're being robbed! Oh!
No, it's not rob. It's the toll. You see, these gentlemen are keeping the roads clear from, bandits and such. And so they want us to pay the toll, the road toll.
You hear a huh from in the forest somewhere, and then ooh.
Yeah, okay, that sounds... You want to, corroborate with them more on what their story's supposed to be, or...
No, I think they got this all figured out.
You guys got it figured out?
I'm gonna lean out of the wagon, make eye contact.
All right, you don't see necessary. You can make a perception check
Okay,
to see the others.
Cashew will do this.
Well, first roll.
Oh, shit, no! Where did it go?
Why did you do it?
My life is falling apart. 16 plus 3, 19 perception.
You do see some feet sticking out and stuff like that. The 5 laughs that you heard was accurate. You guys kind of guessed 5. There's about 5 of them out there.
1, 2, 3, 5. Wait, no, that's not the. It looks like a chair, but upside down. Cashew knows that. 4, 5.
All right. How nice of your big fat friend to give us a countdown. Now, pay up, or get skewered.
Man, these guys are rude. Cashew is not fat.
Yes, I don't see why we got on such a bad foot. Here's the thing, right? You say no one is looking for this person. Well, here we are looking for this person. And if you think that is madness, well, perhaps you should not stand in our way demanding a toll for a terrible road like this.
It's not even paved.
It's not even paved.
Atulis happens to be I guess you could say a distant relative of mine.
You see him squint.
That's weird.
Says, "Good to know. We kill you first. Roll initiative."
Cashew just get up from weird magic nap.
It's a magic nap.
Some magic nap. I don't think I have enough trees on this one. Let me put you guys down here where you're...
Oh, there's a map and everything.
Yeah, I don't have enough trees. There's more trees than you see here.
Note to self, there are more trees.
Yeah. I'll get your tokens on there in a minute. I will copy and paste from... And...
I keep looking for an initiative modifier. Ugh.
Yeah, you're never gonna find one though.
All right, let's get everybody sized.
Is that Tibelda's initiative, Lucia? Who has the higher dexterity? It is probably you.
I don't know about that. My dex is only 12.
Oh, so is mine.